If you're getting ready for your first craft fair, one of the things you're probably thinking about is your booth. What tables do you need? What displays should you buy? And how are you going to make sure that everything looks cute? I will let you know that when I first started out, I definitely made some mistakes in this area. So today's video is all about some ideas, tips, and tricks that will make your first craft fair a lot less expensive for you and hopefully very successful. I've always been somebody who enjoys walking and running. It's always been the thing that I go to when I need to clear my head, reset, if I want to kind of get back into my health goals, things like that. But especially over the last few years, it has been really hard to stay consistent. About 4 years ago, I completed my first 10K. But these days, I feel like I have to work really hard to comfortably do a 5K. That's exactly why I've started using Walkfit. What I love about this app is that it gives me a plan instead of leaving me wondering what should I do each day. I have a daily step goal, a guided walking workout, like an interval walk or a brisk walk, and as I improve, the goals will grow with me. It keeps challenging me without feeling overwhelming. As a small business owner, it's not just about exercise for me. Some of my best ideas happen while I'm out walking. I can come back, feel more focused, more creative, and ready to tackle the rest of my day. I also love seeing the progress. Those small daily wins add up, and that's what's helped me stay consistent instead of giving up after a week. If you've been wanting to get back into a healthier routine but don't really know where to start, the WalkFit app has been a great tool for helping me build habits again and doing that one walk at a time. There is a link below in the comments if you want to try this out and feel that it's a good fit for you. Okay, the first tip I have for you is to consider your space. Now, you're going to think about this in a couple different ways. First, you need to consider the actual size of your booth or how much table space you're going to have. So, when you are prepping and kind of deciding how you're going to set up your displays, you know what you kind of space you have to work with. But there's another very important thing you need to consider. You have to consider how you plan to get all of this stuff to your show. How many tables will you need? How many chairs? Will you need a tent? How about all of these different types of displays that you plan to pack and take with you? Finding ways to be very efficient with your space will not only be so much easier for you in the long run as far as setting up, but also allow you to go weekend to weekend knowing exactly how you're going to set up over and over again. Even when your booth space or the size of whatever space you have for your craft fairs changes week to week, it makes it a lot easier overall. It is also why a lot of the displays that I choose, I really like to make sure are easy to transport. So you saw at the beginning, I had the risers that just kind of unfold and they twist on to tighten. And then I have them as that tiered, like the tiered shelving, like you saw where the desk sitters were. That's very similar to some other things that I also have set up. For example, these nesting crates. The nesting crates are so effective because I can use them in different ways every time I go to a different show. And you can use them to allow you to have height. You can also use them to carry the stuff to and from the show if that is what you decide to do. If you don't decide to do that, another great thing about these is they are very easy to store all together in one set, even at the foot of your passenger seat. So think about different things that you can do to make it easy for you to transport your items to the show and then also set up with ease. I love to have some set up, ready to go signage, but I don't want to have to worry about something breaking if it was set up in this fashion. That's the best part about having packaging tape or painter's tape, so I can quickly tape together what I want to do with my display. And then when I'm done my show, all I have to do is pull the tape off and package this up into a crate together. Those are some really quick tips that I would suggest you use that make it much easier for you in the long run when you're considering what you're going to need and how you're going to showcase your work, but do so in a very quick setup fashion. The next really important tip I have for you is to make sure you are choosing your displays with a purpose. This was something that I definitely struggled with when I first started out because I focused more on looking for cute displays that maybe matched the aesthetic I was going for and didn't really consider what I would use those displays for. This is a great example. I got these for, I think it was like maybe anywhere from $6 to $12 last year from Michael's, and I absolutely love them because it had that light wood raw tone that I really wanted for my displays, but I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to use it for yet. And it ended up working out, but it's not necessarily something that I would have if I was thinking about this from a more mindful perspective and focusing more on here are the products I'm going to take. Now let me find the best item to use to display. These probably wouldn't have been it. And here's why. You want to make sure you have height for your booth. Well, with these, you have them flat on your table. They take up quite a bit of space. And really, the things that I showcase in here are not necessarily like my super pricey or most expensive things. They're also not necessarily my showstoppers. They are typically my monogrammed gift tags. So the reason they work really well is because if I put all three of them together and I sort my monogram gift tags by alphabetically, but I put like a bunch in here, a bunch in here, and a bunch in here. So maybe A to G, H through M, and then N to Z, or whatever I did. I can't remember how I split them up last time. But then people can sift through the different bins to get the letters they're looking for. That might be more effective than if what I had like previously was maybe some itemized little storage units where you have like almost like a little tray with different places for each of the letters. But it makes it, I mean, in some ways it's better, in some ways it's worse, because as you run out, it makes your display and your kind of your space look a little bit more empty. So really consider what kind of materials, what kind of displays do you want to have, and what will work for the items you're selling. If you have earrings that you're selling, you're going to need something very different than somebody like me who sells mostly wood products. My third tip for you is to have a theme for your booth. Now, here's something that's really fun. You can change your theme depending on the time of the year, the aesthetic you're going for, or even the items that you're bringing with you to the show. I have switched out my theme to be much more Christmas with like darker black tablecloths and a much more cozy vibe, as well as a very spring, light and airy vibe when I do my shows in the spring. Having that dynamic and being able to come up with an aesthetic that you know is going to very much kind of complement the work that you're bringing, the products that you're bringing, and ensure that it kind of goes with the style and the vibe you want to have your customers feel when they walk up to your booth will be very important. I definitely like to stick to neutrals because these types of displays, as well as some of my signage, can go in the direction of holiday as well as in the direction of spring. So find a way to get those neutral pieces that you can kind of mold and really use some of the other light accessories, like having your Christmas trees. I love to take my pencil Christmas trees so that I can hang my ornaments on it for holiday shows. Even the gift toppers would be great to display there. For the springtime, I usually take things like eucalyptus or lavender, little pieces of greenery that I can place around the booth, being really just more for aesthetic purposes, not necessarily in any type of functional matter or any type of functional just kind of purpose. So think about those kinds of things when you're setting up your booth and what you really feel will be the right aesthetic for you. As I'm setting up for and practicing for a fall market, I'm probably going to be looking at maybe adding some kind of more fall leaves or maybe some pumpkins, but not overdoing it, because the purpose of my setup is to showcase my products, not to make my booth look so perfect and overbearing that people forget to look at the actual products I'm selling. Tip number 4, your signage should answer the questions before somebody has to ask. The best example that I have for you is my desk sitter example, because I cannot tell you how many times I have been asked, what is a desk sitter? What do you do with it? I want the sign itself to be the feature that will already tell somebody what it is, that it's a desk sitter, but I completely understand that they will still be asking questions. So once I set it up on my display, it's big enough and bold enough that somebody can come up and read it. They can probably read desk sitter from about maybe 10 feet back, then walk up closer to kind of see what else is written there. And then, because a lot of my desk sitters have some text on it that's rather small, it brings them in far enough that then they can start looking through those relatable and funny quotes within those desk sitters. Finding something like this is a great idea. Another way that you could showcase other attractive signage for your customers is not only to have things like price tags, but also if you have bundled discounts, finding ways to showcase that bundle. Now, what I did with these was I just took some old risers that I had made that never sold and I turned them into these signs. And I know it seems a little weird because it has like the foot on it because they're supposed to go like this. But I did that because then if I decided to, let's say, put a vase of greenery or something else to showcase my work behind it, I can fit it right here, for example, like this without it being a problem as far as space is concerned. You want to showcase your work. You want it to look like full. You don't want to look like you only have like 10 products to sell, but you also want to make sure you're not overdoing it so much that people get overwhelmed by the busyness of your table. So find that happy balance between showcasing your products well without overdoing it. And that signage is going to be a huge piece of that because that is something that absolutely has to be there. You want to make sure that signage is able to help your customer know what you're selling and know what the pricing looks like if you happen to be talking to another customer at the same time. You don't want to lose sales because you're not available to answer questions right then and there. And then tip number 5 is exactly what we are doing today. Make sure you are practicing your setup at home. And when you are done, make sure you take pictures. I promise you that no matter how much you think you will remember exactly how you want things set up, you will get to that show and your brain will be so not I don't know about overwhelmed, but you'll be so anxious and excited and have so many emotions going through your head that you will want to ensure that you have something you can refer to quickly that will make your setup much faster, more efficient, and ready for you to sit back, relax, and be able to greet your customers without feeling that sense of anxiety and overwhelm. I will tell you that I have noticed a tremendous difference from shows where I actually practice my setup and then take pictures to other shows where I assume I'm going to know what to do and get there. And even though it might be almost the exact same thing that I would have planned, not having something to refer to right in the moment and having to try to remember it and recall it in that moment is much harder for me. I have gotten into this kind of mode of indecision and I flip around things at my booth about 15 times and I can't really figure out the right thing. Having a practice session at home not only allows me to figure out what I'm going to do and take pictures, it also allows me some time to hear feedback from my family, maybe some friends, on what they would suggest based on what they're seeing. Because sometimes other people can be helpful in helping you see what they would be attracted to as a customer. Having somebody else come in and tell you, hey, I really love how you this, or this is my favorite thing that I see at your table. Having them come in and help you will make it much easier for you too to give you some other ideas. Your first booth is your starting point. So if I could go back and give myself these 5 pieces of advice before my first craft fair, I would remember this. Consider your space, including your transportation, what you can fit in your actual vehicle. Choose displays for a specific purpose, a function, consider the aesthetic. Create a consistent theme that complements your products. Use signage to answer questions before customers have to even ask. And practice the entire setup at home, take pictures, and make adjustments before your first market. Prepping ahead of time will help you feel so much more ready and excited over nervous and anxious. I would love for those of you who have already done craft fairs to help out new vendors watching this video. Leave a comment below and tell us, what is one thing you wish you knew before your first craft fair? Because I guarantee there's somebody getting ready for their first event who's reading all of these comments looking for exactly that advice. And if you're preparing for craft fair season, make sure that you're subscribed because we are going to be talking a lot about DIY booth displays, signage, merchandising, pricing, what to make, how much inventory to bring, and all of those things that can help you build a booth and a handmade business that actually works for you. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one.